Amie Harwick, a renowned Hollywood sex therapist and former fiancée of comedian Drew Carey, was brutally murdered in February of 2020. Her ex-boyfriend, Gareth Pursehouse, was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Harwick's death was a tragic reminder of the dangers that women face, especially those who have left abusive relationships. Pursehouse had a history of stalking and harassing Harwick, and she even filed a restraining order against him. But on the night of her murder, he broke into her home and strangled her to death before throwing her off a third-floor balcony. Harwick's death sent shockwaves to the Hollywood community and beyond. She was a beloved therapist and friend, and her murder was a senseless act of violence. But her story is also a cautionary tale about the importance of taking domestic violence seriously and the need for better supporting the victims. Amie Harwick was born in Pennsylvania in 1981. She was a bright and bubbly child who loved to learn. After graduating from high school, she moved to Los Angeles to pursue a career in psychology. Harwick earned her bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Southern California and her master's degree in clinical social work from California State University in Los Angeles. She then went on to complete her licensure as a clinical social worker and sex therapist. Harwick was a passionate advocate for sexual health and well-being. She was a sought-after speaker and a writer on the topic. And she had a regular column in Playboy magazine. She was also the author of the book, The New Sex Bible for Women. Harwick was a successful therapist. She had a thriving practice in Los Angeles where she helped clients of all ages and backgrounds navigate their relationships and sexuality. She was known for a warm and compassionate approach, and she was deeply loved by her clients. On February 15th of 2020, Harwick was found dead at the bottom of her Hollywood Hills apartment building. She had fallen from her third-floor balcony. Police initially ruled her death an accident, but they later determined that she had been murdered. Harwick's ex-boyfriend, Gareth Pursehouse, was arrested and charged with her murder. Pursehouse had a history of stalking and harassing Harwick, and she'd even filed a restraining order against him. But the restraining order had expired, and Pursehouse was able to get close to her again. On the night of the murder, Pursehouse broke into Harwick's home and strangled her to death, and then threw her off the balcony to make it look like an accident. Pursehouse's trial began in September. The prosecution presented a strong case against him, including evidence of his history of stalking and harassing Harwick, as well as DNA evidence that placed him at the scene of the crime. The defense argued that Harwick had accidentally fallen from her balcony while trying to escape from Pursehouse, but the jury rejected this argument and found Pursehouse guilty of first-degree murder. Amie Harwick's death was a tragic loss, but her legacy lives on. She was a beloved therapist and friend, and her murder was a senseless act of violence. But her story is also a cautionary tale about the importance of taking domestic violence seriously and the need for better support for the victims. Harwick's family and friends have established a foundation in her name to raise awareness about domestic violence and to help support victims. The foundation is also working to develop new technologies to help protect people from stalking and harassment. Harwick's death was a tragedy, but her life was a celebration of love, joy, and resilience. She was a good force for the world, and her legacy will continue to inspire others. Amie Harwick's murder is a reminder of the dangers that women face, especially those who have left abusive relationships. Domestic violence is a serious problem that affects millions of people around the world.